Hello, and welcome to a short demonstration of what to expect in the Kaplan SAT seminar in Chiang Mai if you decide to register. Now what I'm going to do is show you three basic problems from the critical reasoning, the math, and one additional critical reasoning problem section. We're going to leave the writing section alone for today because many of you probably don't need the writing section as a score for your test because many colleges and universities in Thailand don't necessarily need that. But you can request the writing section if you're going to be needing it. Now what I'd like to do is start by showing you a mathematics question. Now I want you to keep in mind that today I don't have time to show you a lot of Kaplan's very advanced strategies. We actually have a lot of strategies that really help you to work a lot faster, a lot more efficiently on the SAT and make it more likely to get the correct choice and a higher score. But today I'm just going to show you some basic strategies and give you an idea of what it might feel like to be in one of our classes. Now let's start with a math problem. Here we have a question about a pentagon, and we have a triangle inside, as well as two angles that are defined for us. Now note this is not to scale, so the drawing doesn't always perfectly show you what's happening. Now let's look at the question. An isosceles triangle is inscribed in a regular pentagon in the figure above. If A equals 108 degrees, what is the value of B? Okay? Now let's look at how you'd actually work out this problem. And note that you don't have any multiple choice answers in this case. Some of you might be familiar with grid ends where you actually have to write in the answer. And I'll go over how to do that later. Now, let's start by looking at some of the key terms here. Now, you might not be familiar with some of these geometric definitions, but if that's not the case, don't worry. In the class, we will actually go over what some of these terms mean and also how you can understand them on the test. Okay? First, it says this is an isosceles triangle. Isosceles means that two of the sides of the triangle, being these two here, are actually the same. That'll help us to get our answer. It also says that this is a regular pentagon. Now this being a regular pentagon means that all of the sides of the pentagon, as well as all of the interior angles, are exactly the same. That'll also help us with our answer. Now the last piece of information we have as we're solving for B, which is this interior angle of the isosceles triangle, the last piece of information we have is here, A, that this angle is 108 degrees. Okay? Now here's a couple of tricks. First of all, you might remember from your math classes that the angles of any triangle, the interior angles, add up to 180 degrees. Okay? Now, for the purpose of solving this problem, let's call the other two angles C and C. Now, how do we know these two angles are exactly the same? These two sides are the same because it's a regular pentagon. So therefore, we know that this is also an isosceles triangle. When these two sides are the same, these two angles are therefore the same as well. So since we know that all these three angles equal 180 degrees, we know that A plus C equals 180. So let's simplify this equation and plug in the information we know. So we have 180 equals A plus 2C. Now we know that angle A is 108 degrees, so we now know that 180, the total of these three interior angles, equals 108 plus 2C. Now all we have to do is solve for C, and this becomes a very easy problem. So now we're going to subtract 108 from both sides. We get 72 equals 2C. Now we're going to divide by 2 from both sides, and we get C equals 36. So now we know that this angle is 36 degrees, and this angle is also 36 degrees. Now we're getting closer to solving for B. Now here's another thing. we know that all of these angles here, 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 and here are 108 degrees. Also, this triangle is exactly the same as this triangle because these sides are the same and these sides are the same. So we know that this part of the angle here and this part here also equal C. So we have C, B plus C equaling 108 degrees all together. Okay? So now we have, let's put this over here, 2C plus B equals 108 degrees. Because that bigger angle equals 108, and here we have C plus B plus C. Okay? So now all we need to do is plug in again. 2 times 36 plus B equals 108. 72 plus B equals 108. Subtract 72 from both sides. Here, of course, I multiplied 2 times 36. And we have B equals 36. So that's our answer. We have 3 angles, each of 36 degrees, adding up to a total of 108 because all these angles are 108 degrees. So now we want to do our grid in. 36 is our answer. Down here, where we have the bubbles, we would actually bubble in 3 and 6.